Hey everybody, Dr. Hess here of pdmom.com. Here today with my PD Mom safety tip of the day. Um, so something that I've been thinking a lot about lately, especially with the increase in use of iPads and iPhones and other tablets and stuff by kids, is that it's taking away their awareness of their surroundings. So, and I mean, we're guilty of it as well. I'm guilty of it. A lot of parents are guilty of it, but definitely our kids are guilty of it. We tend to pay a lot more attention to our screens, especially when we're out and about and kind of not being actively entertained. And that's true of kids. I mean, we actually even do it in the car, for example, when we're on a car ride. What do we do oftentimes? We give our children either iPads or Nooks, or they're watching DVDs or something like that, to kind of help us make it through the trip. And again, I'm guilty of that as well. But here's the problem with that, is that more and more kids are becoming less aware of their surroundings. And that is a super, super important thing for them to work on, for us to fix, because the less the kids are aware of their surroundings, the less likely they are to kind of know what's going on in their neighborhood, in their area, in their town. And then when we talk about kids maybe getting lost while we're out and about, or lost while they're walking around their neighborhood with friends, then that can kind of get them in more trouble than they need to be. So to kind of bring this to a not so great thought, what is better to a predator than a kid who is scared, not confident, and walking around like they don't know where they're going or they don't know where they are? It's a perfect target for a predator. Even if that wasn't the predator's original target, that is a perfect target for them if they see a kid wandering around like that. So I kind of recommend helping increase kids' awareness of their surroundings, both in their own neighborhoods and while they're out and about at places that you frequent often, places that they can kind of get lost from you or walk away or lose sight of you and then be kind of hanging out and not knowing where they're going. So some ways that you can do that are walking around your neighborhood, not just your small little neighborhood, because I know where I live, we have a bunch of small neighborhoods that are not connected to one another, but walking around your own neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods. Talk about what you see, talk about the street names, talk about the houses that are on the corners and the colors of the houses that are on the corners. Maybe talk about how they would get home from here. Which way would they go? How many, like, would they go right? Would they go left? That kind of stuff. While you're doing that, especially talk about not taking shortcuts if for some reason they needed to get home or got lost and were trying to find their way, to always stay on the main streets. But talking about little landmarks that they see every day is super helpful, because they'll recognize them when they're scared. When they're scared and lost, a lot of things shut down and you kind of work on autopilot, especially kids. So if you're able to kind of help them just have areas around your neighborhood that they automatically recognize and say, okay, I know where I am, I know how to get home from here, that'll be super helpful. Same thing when you're out and about at neighborhood stores, little downtown areas. Instead of looking at your phones or letting them kind of listen to their headphones and watch an iPad while you're walking, talk about the areas, talk about, same thing, street signs and stores, store signs. Maybe ask them where they would go if they did get lost. What would they do? That kind of thing. And another big area that you can change this is in the car. Don't get me wrong, when you're on a really long trip, sometimes it's, or maybe even not so long trip, sometimes it's really nice to have the kids just playing a game on an iPad or watching a movie. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes that's life-saving. But for the most part, especially when you're driving around your town, so that they know the landmarks of the town, talk about it. Maybe play ISpy, where you play that, if you don't know that game, is ISpy with My Little Eye, something that begins with, or the color is, or looks like something. And that'll help identify landmarks, drive around the town, talk about different things. Like when I'm driving around with my daughter, she likes to point out big things like there's a really horrible color house on one particular street. It's an awful mustard yellow. And she knows where that is. And honestly, just because that's such a big thing that we talk about while we're out and about, if she was to be walking there, not now because she's a little young, but a little bit of an older age, walking around, she would know how to get home from there just because it's something that we talk about all the time. So do that. Also stores, same thing. Like if for some reason out in a parking lot they were to get lost, make sure they kind of have an idea of where the stores are when you're going shopping and you're getting out of the parking lot. Ask them, hey, in what direction is Target? We all know where Target is. What direction is Target? What direction is Walmart? What direction is whatever place, restaurant that you happen to go to? In addition to these, which are kind of the bigger picture, make sure that you're not forgetting to talk about their full names, first, middle, and last name. Work on it in the car while you're playing, like play games, and make sure they know how to spell their names. Work on your addresses and your phone numbers. Unfortunately, house phone numbers are not a big thing anymore, so there's oftentimes multiple phone numbers that kids need to recognize or memorize, just in case they get lost. So go over your cell phone numbers and all of that, because I don't even know a lot of people's phone numbers that I call all the time, because you're in your phone, you click their name and you get their phone number. You get to talk to them. But if kids are lost out and about, they're not going to be able to do that. So go over your phone numbers, make games out of it, sing songs about it, however you need to do. And to finish this up, the great thing about doing something like this, like while you're in the car or out walking and talking about your surroundings, the side benefit of it is that it helps remind us, even as parents, to stop, look up, look around, notice our surroundings, which are amazing, that we oftentimes don't see anymore because we're too busy with our face in a screen. It reminds us to do that too, and it sets a good example for the kids too, to kind of just notice everything around them. I think that's it. Some of those things I talked about, I'm going to be doing specifically in length in different videos that aren't a tip of the day, that are their own video. So awesome. Okay, so listen, if there are specific things that you want to know for tips of the day, they tend to be smaller things, not something that I go into a whole long video about, but let me know any topics that you think might be helpful to you. Also, if you could not forget to like and share my page, that would be awesome. And on my videos, if you, that way, look, I can't figure out my left or my right on Facebook Live, right over there. If you can make sure that you like and comment, because the more comments there are, apparently the more searchable it is, so the more people I can reach. So that would be an awesome help. And contact me if you have any ideas for things that I should be covering, not only in my tips of the day, but in the longer videos. And hopefully the website should be up maybe later this week. That's the plan. Web designer and myself are kind of working really hard on it, getting it all together. So hopefully there'll be tons of great stuff for you guys soon. Awesome. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful night. Mwah. Wonderful day. Still day and night. Bye.